welcome to yet another episode of Vet Talk with Hill. This is a show we created to sit down and talk with military veterans about their lives before the military, during the military, and after the military. And obviously it's 2020, so we also touch up on different topics, things that are going on in our society. And today I have my really good friend with me, my man Dayton Phillips. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
How you doing, brother?
I'm here, man. Thank you for stopping by, man.
Of course, man. Anytime.
Because obviously we've been friends for more than 15 years now.
15 years
and
plus.
Yeah. And I think I know your story, and a lot of people don't know your story, and I thought it was cool to just have you come down here and talk to me, man.
All right, thank you for that.
Obviously, I know, but people don't know.
Yeah, appreciate you. I grew up in Jamaica. I was born and raised in Jamaica. I moved over here when
Jamaica, the country, not
Jamaica, the country,
Queens, so
yeah,
let's make that
definitely.
clear. We are in New York, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely, yeah. I moved over here when I was 13, right, a little bit after my 13th birthday. I started junior high school, and then went to high school shortly after that, a couple months after that.
And where did you go to high school?
I went to high school in Brooklyn, Bushwick High School.
Bushwick High School.
Yeah.
And you said you came here at 13, so that's what, 7th, 8th grade?
Yeah, 8th grade.
8th grade, yeah.
I came here the day that Biggie died, actually.
So Biggie died, and that's the day that you were coming.
The Sunday, that he died, that's when I flew in. So, so it was a crazy time, coming from Jamaica, transitioning, and, going to junior high school, and, so started school right after that Monday.
And how was that? Like,
it's a culture shock,
So it was your first time in the States? Like,
No, I used to visit. I used to visit since I was about 7 years old. I used to spend summers here.
Yeah, just be careful tapping because we pick up the sound.
Sure, sorry. Yeah, I used to spend summers here, so it was definitely a culture shock.
So who was living here first? Were your parents here, or you were?
I was living in Jamaica with my mother. My father was here.
Your father was here, and do you have brothers who
I
were here, or they were in Jamaica with you?
I have an older brother. He was here before me. Yeah. He got here before me, and then I started living here about a year after him.
Yeah. So
and then I have younger siblings also, and I have a sister, older sister.
And you said culture shock. What is the culture shock that you talk about? What's so shocking?
I mean, as far as the school system, definitely is way different. Mm-hmm. I felt like, we had way harder classes down there. It was, over here it was more relaxed, and down there is more disciplined, as far as how you interact with your teachers. You had to show respect and things like that. Over here, when I got here, kids were basically just wilding out, for lack of a better word, and then it was my first experience with like a metal detector. Yeah. Like I never stuff like that. Like what is this? So it was like, why do you need this in school? So it was things like that showed me like you're not in Kansas anyway.
I can relate because I came here a little bit younger, so I can't don't tap because sound is gonna come. I came here a little bit younger. And I obviously started in the 6th grade, and I lived in Flushing, Queens, in New York. So I didn't have to deal with metal detectors. Obviously, wouldn't have to. But being in Bushwick, New York, I can see that. But in high school, I transferred to Jamaica. In high school, I started out in Jamaica High School, and then I saw the metal detectors. Yeah. So like going into school, you feel like you're going into a prison.
To a jail, exactly. I'm like, what is this? So I was experiencing it by myself for the first. I didn't have. So it was just crazy. It was just a crazy experience.
I feel, even though I can relate to that experience, I feel that you still had an advantage because you speak English.
Exactly.
And I didn't speak English. So coming from Haiti, not speaking English and having to deal with that. But by the time I got to high school, obviously it was a little bit different. Exactly. So
And then you found out your clothes wasn't good enough. You find out, like
people worried about the clothes you wear to school.
Exactly. In Jamaica, you got uniform. Over here, it's like, hey, you're not wearing the right clothes and things like that. So you start to notice things like, it's a big difference. Yeah.
Did they pick on you?
Nah, I didn't get picked on. You know why I didn't get picked on? Because reggae was just starting to get popular over here.
Reggae was popular
it was popular,
died, bro.
No, it was popular, but it was just like, I think Sean Paul he had a song out, it was just like, so,
it was around that time.
Once they heard I was from Jamaica, it was like, it was lit.
A different experience for me. Me being Haitian, we had nothing popular. So it was like, But for some reason, people didn't really mess with me that much. Like, I know a lot of other Haitian kids that had to go through it. But people didn't really mess with me.
Definitely.
So obviously, what age did you decide to join the Marines?
I decided to join the Marines. I graduated high school at 16, and I was working at KFC at the time. So, it was like I was still living home, and basically it was just me and my pops living home at the time. So, and I just seen my brother. He joined the Army probably about a year prior to that. So before he joined the Army, he was working at KFC also. This dude used to, drink all. He wasn't a fit guy, So when he told me he was joining the Army, I'm like, get out of here. Like, like, you're not joining the Army. Like, this guy overweight, drinking every day. And then a couple months later, I'm at his graduation. He's in uniform. Like, what is this? Like, wow. So that kind of inspired me. Saying that my mother kind of gave me a little pep talk. Like, hey, you're not doing that. She gave me that Everest talk. What are you doing? What are you doing with your life? What are you doing with your life? You're not doing that. Come on, you might as well. You see your brother. So it was one of those type of things. So one day I was just like. I was telling her, I'm like, I'm not doing that. I was rebellious at first. And then one day I just woke up out the blue and I said, you know what, let me just go do it. And I was out of school already. I said, let me go to a recruiting station. So
your brother joins in the Army, but you end up in the Marines.
Yeah,
How do you go to his graduation and you get all motivated by his Army graduation, but you end up in the Marines?
Funny story. So the day I decided, I just got up out the blue. It was in the afternoon. I went to the Army recruiting station, and it was right knocking on the door. So I'm knocking on the door, no one's coming outside. So I was about to leave, and this guy came for the Marine Corps. He goes, "What are you doing?"
Like this Marine recruiters just scoping. They be waiting.
They were right next door. I never knew about the Marine Corps. Never seen the uniform. Never, So he goes, what are you doing? So I'm like, hey, I was about to join the Army. Just like that. So he's like, what do you mean? So
he said, yeah, you got 5 fingers? They work?
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I was about to join the Army, but no. He's like, oh, you ever heard about the Marine Corps? I'm like, what is that? Never heard of it, never. So he's like, all right. So he's like, you go into the recruiting office and he's giving a little speech and, blah, blah. There's opportunities, you could work this job and your MOS, blah. I'm like, all right, sign me up. And he was like, what? What do you mean? And I'm like, all right, I'm ready.
No time.
So I said, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. So he's like, what do you mean? So I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like, because I was, once I make my mind, I'm just going to, if I didn't do it that day, I probably was never going to do it. That's, so I have to go with my instinct that day. So I just said, hey, come on. So he signed me up. I was out of school already. I was just waiting till my 18th birthday. So that's why I had to wait for my 18th birthday. In a couple months, I was in boot camp.
And what was how long were you in the Poolie program for? 2 years or a year and a half?
I was in the Poolie program for about 5-6 months.
Okay.
And then, that was it.
And then you decided to go. What was before we jump into like the whole, obviously we're going to talk about boot camp and so on, what was the relationship like with you say your mother was in Jamaica, she was giving you the pep talk?
At the time, she was giving me the pep talk from Jamaica. At the time, she was still living in Jamaica.
And she still saw like, hey, you're in the United States and now you're done, try to push yourself to do this. And
yeah, basically, me and my father, we were living together, but it wasn't that, close relationship, so.
And what was his reaction when you told him you wanted to join the Marines?
I actually told him I was going to the Marine Corps the day before I left.
Wow. And what was his reaction?
He said, good luck.
Like no one drove you to maps or stayed up with you or any of that?
No.
What time was it when you left your house with the recruiter to go down to map? Because I know it was super, I don't even remember.
It was early in the morning. It was early in the morning, I think. I walked up to the recruiting station and we left.
And so now you tell your father the day before you're leaving, you go down to the recruiting station to get picked up to go down to MEP.
Yeah.
Tell me about the process you flew out of LaGuardia or JFK?
JFK.
JFK.
Yeah.
Tell me about that process, because I know it's a long process for those of us who don't know. I know to get down to South Carolina. Walk me through it.
That process was you know you're in MEPS for a little while, and then
MEPS is where you go and do your medical,
do the medical,
make sure you're healthy before
make sure
you
you're
go
healthy. Yeah, and you have to do I think we did pull-ups that day. Yeah, you had to do a couple pull-ups just to make sure you're good, and then I guess you get sworn in that day.
Yeah.
And you know, you got the paperwork, you got all your paperwork and stuff, and then that night we spent in a hotel. Yeah. Staten Island, was it Staten Island?
Nah, MEPS is in Fort Hamilton.
Fort
Hamilton, Brooklyn.
So
it's right under the Vaz.
Right, yeah. So
that's why you probably touched that.
Yeah, so we spent the night in a hotel that day. Then next morning went to the airport. Went South Carolina. It was, you know, it's crazy. I met my guy Valdez. You know, so me and him were roommates. We just meeting each other. We just both like,
so, you know. Before we jump into meeting Valdez, they're in boot camp. So what company were you with? Do you remember?
I was a Bravo company, platoon 1108.
Bravo is 1st Battalion. Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was 1st Battalion too. I was Alpha Company.
Yeah.
And you were right by the parade deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was. So when you get to Paris Island, do you remember the first 48 hours or 72 hours? What was that process like?
The process in Paris Island, I remember getting off the plane. Right as soon as you get off the plane and they're in your face and you know, they're screaming at you and it's like and I'm like, wow, what did I get myself? You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude, we didn't even get there yet. Like, you know, you watch the videos and it's like, they didn't tell you to go do this in the airport. Like, it was kind of embarrassing. Like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, relax, you know? So that was kind of trippy. Like, you know, they had us standing face to face, like nose to nose. And it was like, then my boy Valdez started laughing. So they singled us out or whatever. So, you know, that was kind of crazy. Then you get on the bus. And you get on the bus, and then as soon as it goes through those gates, everybody gets quiet. Everybody just starts, you know, so it's like, and then next thing you know, you're on the yellow footprints.
Do you remember the squad you were in the yellow footprints?
No, I don't remember. I don't remember. I
remember.
remember a lot of stuff.
Because everything was
it was a blur.
Quickly.
It was a blur.
Do you remember the time that you had to go and get your first haircut?
Yeah, my first haircut. Actually, funny story is I prepared for it because I watched the videos before I left. So I had my barber. I said, give me the lightest Caesar possible. So I was the only one there.
For people who don't know, a light Caesar is when you cut your hair all around, all even.
All even, around, yeah. So I was the only one there with a shape up because when I went to the barber, he was like, yo, get out of my chair. He didn't even cut me. So that first, you know, so I was kind of fresh the first. Yeah.
So you just got away with it.
Yeah, I got away with that, yeah.
And do you remember the time where you had to sit and right before you have pickup? Because you remember, we all go down and you don't know which battalion you're going to be in, which company, and so on. You go to get pickup, and you and it's like this big squad bay, and you're just waiting there.
Is that when you're doing your phone calls?
Yeah.
So that moment was kind of like it was kind of a sad moment because everyone was calling their family, and you know they're like call your home. So you call home and tell them, you know, you gotta give them that speech, tell them you're all right. And I called my father. It was a collect call, but he didn't accept collect calls. You know, they say if the phone doesn't accept collect calls, go to this other phone. So I was like, yeah, so they asked me, you spoke to your father? I said, yeah, I spoke to him. And I just kept it moving.
And
you know,
do you wish you had, you know, spoken to your dad, or do you think like it would have been cool to talk to him, or you knew it wouldn't be anything like he or you would be into? You were just doing it just to go through the process.
I was just basically trying to get through it. I didn't really care to talk to anybody.
You didn't think?
Yeah, I just felt like, you know, I'm here by myself. It's, you know, let's just go. Like.
Oh, it was something that you chose to do, or you didn't think your dad would be supportive of you? Or?
I mean, at the time we didn't have like, you know, close relationships, so I didn't know what to think. You know, like, you know, like I said, like the conversation was, you know, I'm going to the Marine Corps tomorrow. Okay, good luck. Wow. That was it. So, you know.
So now
and he didn't know about it before. No one knew it. It was just out of the, you know.
And now you're in boot camp for what, 3 months, 12 weeks? Did you write your dad at all?
No. My first letter actually came from my little brother. And funny thing is, he put a stick of gum in there, and I got in trouble. I got in trouble for it.
Only civilians do. Like, hey, you don't do these anything. Like,
exactly. He put a stick of gum in there. I will never forget that. I was so happy, but I was so happy. That was my first letter, man. I felt good. You know, it was just like, but he put a stick of, I got in trouble for it. Because, you know, you're supposed to, anytime you get candy, you're supposed to share it. You know, I'm going to share it. I was about to, you know, and they, for some reason, they thought I was trying to keep it.
Then you got in trouble for that?
Yeah. I mean, it was not, it was just got screamed on or whatever, but it wasn't.
But you got the first letter from your brother. And you wrote back, and
my
after
younger
that,
brother.
was it just a back and forth thing, or was it just more like you were alone in boot camp?
No, I had a couple people write with me. I had a girlfriend at the time, you know, so.
Did she send you any pictures?
Nah.
You know
we couldn't get
any pictures. I messed up like that. I messed up like that. I had I messed up like that. And it's not pretty, man, because they open your letters, they open everything.
They open
everything. See pictures, they see everything that you sent.
Yeah.
I remember I had a recruit in my platoon too. He had a girl who sent him some pictures in lingerie, so he had to put it on the board so everybody get to see it. I'm like, I'm glad I didn't get any of those crazy pictures of my, you know, so because those were personal pictures kind of thing. So
yeah, exactly.
So you in boot camp now. Tell me about boot camp, the process, like what's going on. I know you got different training going on. You have knowledge, you have drill.
You have drill, everything. Knowledge, drill. My favorite thing was drill, man.
Drill?
I love drill.
Were you a squad leader?
Nah, I was never a squad.
Did you ever be a squad leaders?
No. I remember one guy. That was it. Guy, yeah.
Did you like him?
Yeah, no. The guy was cool. Was cool.
You came from Jamaica, and did you guys do a lot of swimming in Jamaica?
No. I didn't.
So you didn't do any swimming. So in the Marine Corps,
I didn't know how to swim. Exactly. I didn't know how to swim before the Marine Corps. Nothing. So swim corps, you know, they say everybody that didn't know how to swim, you know, all the black people.
Yeah, swim corps is always fun for blacks. Yeah, exactly. So we know we're not
just sit on the side. So all the black people just sitting over there. So
one of my drill instructors came out and he said, "Hey, you guys are going to swim corps, all right? Where are my black recruits?
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are gonna
same exact thing, same exact speech. You know, it is what it is."
For me, for some reason, they thought I knew everything. They thought I was whatever it was. Oh, Pluvius can do it. Hey, he can do it. So when they came to me, they're like, "Hey, son, you know how to swim?" I was like, "Nah." You're like, "What? You can't swim, son?" You're like, "Okay, so you gonna make me have to come back because you can't pass swim corps, right?"
Exactly.
Hey, that's what it is. Yeah. So in my head, I'm thinking, all right, maybe I can, regular strokes, man. We got in that pool, brother. When they tell you hang 10, and you jump down and you gotta hold on to your collar and go under and blow it. I'm like, man, I can't do all that crazy stuff.
I had to do that 3 times. I had to do it because I kept forgetting to keep my hands tucked in. I had to do that 3 times. I'm like, man, listen.
Man, Marine Corps swimming was no joke.
It was no joke, man.
And then you have other guys who were like underwater with weapons.
Oh yeah,
doing all that crazy stuff, man. It took me 3
fighting them on, man. Listen.
Took me 3 tries to pass swim corps, but now I'm able to do it. So
now I'm able to do it.
To the fleet, and so after boot camp, graduation day.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was a beautiful moment, man. Because the week before graduation, I was actually, I called my father, and you get that phone call. You get to call, Liberty Sunday. Yeah. You get to call home, and I called my father. He's very happy to hear from me.
Nice.
Yeah. So, nice. And then I was happy to hear from him too. He was like, he got the letter, I guess, that my grad. He was like, but it was the MTA strike around that time. He works for MTA, so he said he might not be able to make it. So I was kind of sad about that a little bit, that nobody was probably gonna be there for my graduation. But graduation day, I seen my little brothers, my older brother. He came down. So
and he was already in the military.
Yeah, he was already in. Yeah, he came down. So it was a.
Before we finish on that, let me tell you a story of something I saw during my graduation. And after that, I will rewind and talk about the crucible, because I always like talking about the crucible with veterans. And obviously, I'm graduating. We're all leaving. You have the Liberty Sunday, and you go out where you buy things. You have a little bit of money now. You get to buy food like from the outside world. So you buy a lot of food like Pizza Hut and so on. Right. And during graduation day, I noticed that not my bunkmate, but the bunk that was next to me, he didn't have anybody coming to visit him, and it broke my heart, brother.
Yeah, exactly.
So he had to take the bus. I think he was from Cleveland, and he had to take the bus from South Carolina all the way to Cleveland.
Exactly.
Just so because he didn't have anybody to pick him up or any of that. Now I'm thinking like, if I had the opportunity, then I could have, asked him to come home with me and hang out with us. And now I think of it, and it broke my heart. So hearing your story now makes me think like, wow, like, this kid was just like.
That's exactly without. Actually, my boy Valdez, which I came with, he was like, yeah, you come back with me and my family, So, even though like I just didn't know, I spoke to my pops, I know we were in a good space, and I know he said he wants to be there, but I just didn't know if he was gonna be able to, So I was cool, but they made it, so that was I felt good.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good. It's always that proud moment. Do you remember standing on the parade deck? When I tell my story, I'll tell more about it. But I remember during the graduation day, you have the whole battalion marching on the parade deck, and then you have first battalion, second battalion, this and that. But each battalion you have Alpha Company, Bravo, Delta, Charlie, and so on. And I was fired from being a squad leader, so I had to go back into a regular Marine. But before that, one of the drill instructors, for some reason, thought I already had a higher rank than I came in. You know how if you go to college or if you do the recruiting duty, you already get promoted. Yeah. And then he said, "Recruit Pluvios." I'm like, "Yes, sir." So I'm like, I'm in trouble. Yeah. He was like, "Are you a PFC, son?" I said, "No, sir, I'm not." He says, "Go get your shirts right now." Oh, wow. So out of all the 4 promotions, even though I was fired, he always told me, like, you were going to be a great leader in the Marine Corps. You're going to be somebody like that pushes through in the Marine Corps. So even though I was in the back of the formation, and you know how they play that song, "I'm so proud to be an American." So everybody gets emotional, and then you get the EGA, the Eagle Globe and Anchor, is when you go from a recruit to a Marine. When they make you become a Marine. So he put it in your hand. And one of the things he said to me was, "Well job, son. I know you'll do great in the military and whatever else you decide to do." And I got so emotional and trying to stay in formation, right?
Everybody got emotional.
And then you know how he does it, left phase going to the next guy. Dude that was next to me, he was like, "You a dirtbag. You need to get out my Marine Corps."
Oh, wow. Wow.
I heard that and I was like, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
But that's one of the times where I got really emotional, and it was like, yo, this is it. Like, you a Marine, like you're somebody. You go from high school to now, I'm like part of the best fighting club and the best military branch in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like you accomplished something. So, but before all of that, we got to talk about the Crucible, where all of that come out, where you got to do all the hard work. Tell me about the Crucible. What was it like for you?
I mean, the Crucible was fun. Yeah. To me, I remember the Crucible, the drill instructors being cool around that time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it was fun. It was. I don't have a bad. One of the funniest things in the Crucible, when we had to do the low crawl.
Yeah.
It was raining that day. It was flooded. It was flooded that day. So the female drill instructor, our drill instructor, they're like, "Nah, we're not going through that. We're not gonna let y'all go through that." Yeah. The female's like, "No, let them go." Yeah. And so you got to see the woman crawling through. I was like, wow. So that was crazy.
My Crucible. Yeah. You remember when you had to do night fire? Was it A-line or the Crucible? You had to do the night fire.
It was A-line. Yeah, it was to shoot at night. It was
you shoot at night.
It was at the end of the it was at the end of the Crucible. All right. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
Same thing with us. Yeah. We in South Carolina. I'm around November. Yeah. So it's freezing cold because you go from like lower end South Carolina where it's hot. So you go to the north and you're in the woods where it's cold. So you know how they shoot, I forgot what it's called, where they shoot the little flash in the air so you can see. Yeah. And then you can crawl and shoot your target. Yeah. So I'm crawling under the wire at night. I got my weapon on me. I'm crawling under the wire in the dirt and so on. Then I'm running to go over the wall, so I put my weapon on the wall to climb over. Boop, my weapon gets snatched by my drill instructor.
By the drill instructor, exactly, yeah.
He's like, "You never let your weapon leave your hand, son. Your weapon stays with you every move. That weapon is a part of you, son." And this and that. Up to this day, I remember that. So every time I talk about the Crucible, that's one of the things that come up.
Same thing. This guy right in front of me is going over the wall. Drill instructor flipped him over. He flipped him. I'm like, "Yeah, what's wrong with you, dude?" For no reason. Like, it was
like crazy stuff you do in the Marine Corps, man. But it makes you appreciate life, man. It makes you appreciate, like, you put yourself through all of this.
Exactly.
And then you get called a Marine. Like, you go from, high school. And I was just saying this to somebody. I feel in the military, it's the only place where you can go from the you can live below the poverty line, or you can be poor. But the minute that you sign on, you go off to boot camp, automatically you jump from poverty to upper, lower, middle. You know what I'm saying?
If you take advantage of it, it can open a lot of doors for you.
Yeah.
As far, if you do the right thing and you stay out of trouble, you definitely, it's a good opportunity.
That's one of the things I realized, because obviously I had nothing, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And now I'm a kid, I'm 19, and I don't have to worry about housing, I don't have to worry about food, I don't have to worry about paying my bills.
Exactly.
I mean, I didn't have money to get nicer things, but
it's
a lot better than I had personally, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly, yeah, because if I was in New York at the time, like, so, like, it was definitely, it was a good time. It was, it was a carefree time. It was definitely a carefree time.
Oh, now we're gonna talk about all this. After all that, in high school. So obviously, you graduate, you go from boot camp. Now, after graduation, you drive back home with your brother, your father.
My brother, my father, my younger brothers. My older younger brothers. We all drive back home.
What was that ride like?
It was, getting to put the civilian gear back on. I had to throw my Jordans back on. I had to, the stuff that you wore, it just felt good eating regular food.
Yeah.
But you still didn't know how to interact with the public.
Yeah.
It's everybody's served. Like, it's like you had attention.
You open the door for people.
You're scared to talk to people. It took a while to adjust. Even the next morning, my father woke me up and I jumped up and he started laughing.
I know this is your story, but I got the similar thing to say too.
Exactly.
I remember coming home.
Yeah.
And when I tell my story, I'll go more into details, right? When I came home, I remember I was making my bed and I had to do the 90-degree angle, like trying to have like super strict, like with the bed making. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm not in boot camp anymore. I'm home. I'm a civilian, so I'm not a civilian. But I'm home. I'm gonna make my bed the regular way. So I dealt with that too. So you jump.
Yeah, I jumped up, like,
And you say, yes sir, no sir.
Yeah, it took a while. It took a while, definitely, to get used to civilian life again.
Did you do recruiter's assistance?
Yeah, I did recruiter's assistance. That was fun.
How many people did you put in the Marine Corps?
None.
So you used the Marine Corps time to be home longer?
They let me drive the Govy. I never had a license. I was driving the Govy. I never drove a car before. They gave me one time I had to go running with this girl on recruiter. She was a pool lead.
Yeah.
And they said, yo, Phillips, take the. I'm like, I don't got a license. Right? You're in uniform. I gave it to him. Like, I took that car for about an hour and a half. They were like, where you went? Where do you live? I'm like, man, listen.
You
know what I'm saying? And so that's the type of thing. It's like, I'm 18, and, just a couple months ago, I was doing nothing, and now I'm driving a government, and it's like, it's weird, like, just a couple months ago. And the funny thing is, like, a lot of times, when the drill instructors used to say stuff like, your friend's back on the block and blah, blah.
Yeah.
I had that experience. I seen people that, they, like, when I went to boot camp, I seen these dudes sitting on the steps. The day when I came home, 3 months later, the same two dudes were sitting, and I looked at it, I was like, wow.
The very same steps.
Same two dudes, same steps.
Wow.
And I, literally, and it was like, and I just did all of this stuff, in 3 months, and it changed, definitely changed his perspective. Like, I definitely gotta do better for my life. Like, I gotta keep going. So, little things like that,
And after recruiter's assistance, obviously you had a week for yourself, and then 2 weeks recruiters, 17 days for recruiters. So you were home for, for 27 days, almost a month.
Yeah, almost a month.
And after that, where do you go?
That was at MCT. Went to North Carolina. It was Geiger, right?
Yeah, Geiger.
Camp Geiger.
And how was that?
That was one of the worst. Yeah, Geiger. It was cold. Yeah, it was freezing.
When did you go?
It was I went was it December? So I had to because I was joining in September, so it was like December. Yeah.
That's around the time.
Yeah, right. I think I went there like a month after you.
Yeah. September. So what's your EAS date? What month did you go?
It was September 29th.
That's crazy. I was 3 weeks ahead of you. That's
exactly.
How you were in the same battalion.
Exactly. I went right after you. Yeah. So So it was freezing out there. It was freezing. So you know if it was a big snowstorm around that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I don't do well. I'm anemic. I hate being cold.
For people who don't know, MCT is Marine Corps Combat Training. Is where you go and pretty much you do all the war training. And so even though you do it in boot camp, but you do the basics in boot camp. Now you do a little bit more defined, and that's where you go and you shoot at night. You throw a grenade. You spend time in the fighting hole. You learn to do all the communication stuff. The C4. The 2 or 3 grenade launcher, RPG, and what else you do?
M203.
M203. You shoot all the big weapons then, and also you do the biggest hump. I think the big hump.
10 miles. 10-mile hump back to the
with all your gear.
All the gear.
You do.
So that was the worst. That was the worst because right before that 10-mile hump, I got injured. I had a cold weather injury.
Yeah.
So it was like similar to frostbite, like frost, So what? So basically, what we were doing, we were in the field. So we were in the field for so long. When they played the war game, our platoon against another platoon, we had to dig foxholes, and so it was so cold. We're digging foxholes. We're breaking the ice to dig foxholes. So we were out there for hours. So next thing you know, my feet are getting real numb. I'm like, okay. I thought it was regular. I thought it was normal, but, same night, same thing. And so I'm like into the night, it was real, and it was stinging, like this burning feeling. So I'm like, what's going on? So the next morning I woke up, my boots, it couldn't fit. My feet were swollen, like just swollen. Like and it was like touch it and it was just burning. It was just burning. So I say to them, I say, listen, like, I'm not going to be able to, I got to go to sick call because this is not, my boots don't even fit. So they're like, all right, go to sick call.
1 second. For people who don't know, sick call is when you ask to see a medical personnel or go to a field hospital or something to look at your injuries.
Yeah. So the Navy, I'll never forget this. This Navy Corps man was there. So he said, man, listen, you're almost, the only thing left to do is the 9-mile hump. So he said, you might as well, if you miss that hump, you're gonna get recycled. So he said, you might as well, you gotta stick it through. He said, told me the worst advice ever, which was to go back to the base and run it on the hot water. Run your feet on the hot water, which is like, found out is like the worst thing ever I could have done. So it was so bad that I'm running my feet on the hot water, steaming hot water, and I'm not feeling anything. I would put my hand under there, and I had to move it right away, but my foot, I could just stay there all day. So I'm like, okay, this is not, this is not normal. So, I go back to the guy the next morning, like now I could barely even walk. Right? My boots don't fit, I'm like lacing them up. And I'm like, yo, these people really don't care about you. So it was like, this dude, for him to tell me that and to say like, it's either that you get recycled. And so that was my realization. Like that was when I first started, thinking like, man, do these people really even care? You just a body,
Just a question.
Yeah.
And what happened after
so
that?
After that, now the next morning was the hump back to the rear. So now I'm limping. Yeah. I'm limping with the hump, and you got all the gear. So I'm literally walking on the side of my feet for that 9 miles, So, and then you had this sergeant. He's like, hurry up, So it's like somebody's telling you to hurry up while, you're falling back. And I'm like, at that point, I'm like, man, listen, I don't even care anymore. Like, so by the time I got back to the squad bay, it's like, I I didn't even care anymore at that point. I'm like,
what makes it worse? Where were you placed in the formation?
I was, I was one of the tallest, so you're
so
always,
you up front,
yeah, exactly. And then I kept falling back because my feet were like, it was just done. I'm literally walking on the side of my foot. So and then this guy's telling you to hurry up. I'm like, dude, like, so it's like, yo, these people really don't care about you, so it's like.
You think they don't care, or it's just like a part of the training? You got to be tough because you're a Marine. You're being trained for like the toughest positions you'll probably ever find yourself in.
Understood, but I just felt like as far as medically, like what happened, it could have been handled better than that. Because that was the worst thing to do. Like, especially, I'm not sure if he knew the gravity of the situation at the time, but for that corpsman to tell me that, like, that was, so that's what gave me the indication. And then once I got back to the rear, you're back, so you figured you're gonna get help now, and then they tell you, okay, your boots are too tight. Like, I've been wearing these boots forever, like, these, like, my feet are not growing anymore. Like, it's a reason why, like, oh, you just need bigger boots, So we finally get to MOS school now, and then
for people who don't know, after MCT, after boot camp, you go to MCT, you do your combat training, and then you go to MOS school. MOS school is for the skill, the job that you're gonna be in. Let's say that you're gonna be a helicopter mechanic,
aviation mechanic, anything,
a plumber, or something like that, and that's what he's talking about. Yeah. So now you go to MOS school.
Yeah. So we get there, and when you first get there, they give you the speech, and so the guy at the end of it, he said, "I know that on Geiger they don't really take care of you guys the way they're supposed to. So if anybody has any medical issues or anything like that, guys." So then me and another guy, they started calling us twins. Yeah. We had the same condition. Yeah. We started limping up there. Then, said, all right, take your shoes off, because we told him, like, yo, So once he seen our shoes, he's like, oh my God, like, once he seen my feet were literally swollen. You couldn't pull your feet apart. It was just stuck together. Apart, yeah. So it was like, sorry. Yeah. So it was just stuck together, So I was like, all right, man. So he rushed us to the we had to go to the emergency room, and they were like, yeah, you got nerve damage, and so basically.
Nerve damage on both feet.
Both feet, yeah.
Did that do anything to the rest of your body? I mean, I know. I'm just saying in general. Like, no. How was that?
No, it was just basically like for a while. Remember when you met me, I was wearing sneakers with my uniform. Yeah.
Only dude, I thought it was because you were Jamaican. You wear sneakers with the uniform.
Nah,
I do what I want to do.
Nah, it was So, it was a rough time. Like you had to go through. I had to keep going to physical therapy. They had the whirlpool, treatment. So that was it, as far as that goes. So.
In MOS school, how long were you in? Were you able to pick up with your class?
Yeah, my class didn't start right away. Yeah, so I was able to pick up. Yeah.
So you pick up with your class. You went through MOS school.
Yeah.
Finished MOS school. Graduated. Yeah. What do you do after? They send you to the fleet? Or?
Basically, I went to the fleet, and then because of my medical condition, they sent me back to MOS because they said basically I wasn't fit to serve. So. They sent me back to Camp Johnson, basically.
For people who don't know what the fleet is after you now. You are full Marine. You graduated boot camp, graduated MCT, graduated MOS school. Now you go to your place of duty, where you get attached to a unit.
So basically, they put me to work on Camp Johnson. So that's where I spend the rest of my time in the Corps.
Yeah. And how long would you say that time was?
2 years, or a little over 2 years.
A little over 2 years from the time that you started boot camp all the way to the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And did they give you the?
So basically, I was going physical therapy. The way I ended up getting out is I kept going to therapy, and I was seeing a doctor, often. And then she actually came with me so she came to me and she said, was this like was this the end all be all for you? Did you see yourself having a career in the Marine Corps? Or did you just join for, like the benefits and all that? So she actually told me, she said, what if I told you I could sign the paperwork for you right now. You could get out. You still keep your benefits or whatever. You know, you're still honorable. And you know, she's told me to think about it. And you know, I called my father, and you know, me and him spoke about it, and he was like, "Man, come home." You know, so yeah, he wanted me to come home. He was starting a business at the time. He's like, "Come home, work with me." You know, so that influenced my decision to get out. Yeah.
And obviously now medically separated from the military.
Yeah.
How long was that process? Was it quick? Because I know a lot of times these.
It took a little while.
Sign the papers to, like, you know how you gotta go see different people.
Exactly.
You
yeah.
gotta sign them.
Yeah. It took.
Gotta go all the way up.
Yeah. It took a couple months. I was excited. You know, like I didn't mind getting out. Yeah. And, like, honestly, like once I got hurt, it kind of, you know, it kind of made me feel like I was just a body to them. You know what I'm saying? As far as, you know, like, okay, you get hurt, life goes on. So, you know, so for me, hearing that, okay, you still get your GI Bill, you still, you know, get to pursue other career, I was sold on that. So I was ready to get out right there.
And
you know?
Obviously we hung out in MOS school because right before you got there, I was there before you, and I had broken my wrist. My wrist got injured because we were doing you know how you do in MCT, you do the POW training?
Yeah.
So you got to tie with the zip tie and all that, and you got to fight it and whatever. But in my head, I thought I was Superman. I was just doing whatever, so I broke my wrist, and I didn't even see. I didn't even notice it, even though it was hurting. I didn't pay attention to it. I was like, it'll get better. You know how when you play basketball, you get a little bit. You know what I mean? You jam a finger or whatever it is. And I said, I'll be all right. So I still kept on going. When I got to MOS school, it just got worse. Yeah. So I couldn't move, couldn't do push-ups, couldn't do anything at all, and I couldn't write with it in school. So I went and got a cast, and that's probably around the time.
We met, yeah.
And you remember something that happened one night in my room?
One night in your room, as far as what do you mean?
Remember I was getting into a fight with my roommate?
Oh yeah. That was crazy, man. And that's very. I'm glad you brought that up because it's like you bring these people together from all over the country, and even though we're
all over the world, obviously.
All over the world, yeah.
Jamaican,
yeah, exactly. So, and you know, different beliefs, different backgrounds, different, you know, and then you expect us, you know, we all Marines, but at the end of the day, once you take that uniform off, these people think what they think.
They are who they are.
You know, they are who they are. You know, their background. I remember that day when we all went to his room, went to your room to press him that day. Yeah.
What exactly do you remember? And I'll tell you.
I remember.
Because I don't think we talked about it in the civilian. We always say, you remember what happened when we keep moving? We never really.
I remember just hearing that dude called you the N-word, and we just rushed up there. Like it was a couple of us. And then we got there, he started crying. We got in the room, we pressed him, and he started crying. He started saying, my father, my father used to say the N-word all the time, and da-da-da-da, my father was a racist, and he, you know, basically explaining his side of the story.
What happened is, we were in the room, and I think I was ironing my cameras or something, because it was a Sunday. I remember vividly. It was a Sunday, and we was trying to get ready for Monday morning. And I was getting my uniform ready, because me and you, we were out of town. Yeah. We came back. We was getting, your barracks room was right under mine. And then you was outside, and I was up there. And he was my roommate and another person, right? Yeah. So I go in the room, but he's always been weird with me. Exactly. But I didn't really care. I'm like, all right, cool. I come in and do what I need to do, and then we go. And we got into an argument. Yeah. So then I start spazzing on him, and I start going crazy on him, and then he said that, right? And then it just stopped. So automatically, we're not in the Marine Corps anymore.
Exactly,
I'm going to throw you off this balcony, bro. So y'all came up, and what he was saying is that it's not my fault. Like, I grew up that way. And he was from Alabama. He was like, I grew up that way. Everybody around me is that way. And if my family knew I was sharing a room with a black person, they would go crazy on me. You know what I'm saying? They would, like, disown me. And he was like, it's not my fault. Like, I can't help it. This is the way I am. But we're like,
He copped the ill fleet that day.
Keep that racist shit outside the door. Because the minute you come in here and you start playing that, I'm throwing you off the balcony. And it's crazy. Like, I turned around. Y'all all came up like this. Like, what the hell? So So he was ready to cry.
I remember that day, man.
Like crazy.
I got into a couple fights over stuff like that.
And you know what's crazy? And then after MOS school, obviously, I graduated with the Japan for a year, Okinawa. You remember that day? I left.
Yeah, I remember.
And you were staying behind.
Yeah.
And I come back. Yeah. The unit that I'm attached to in the same platoon,
is him?
He's in there.
Oh,
man. Yeah. So, but you know, I ain't really tell anybody about it. I didn't. You know what I mean? And it was a lot of blacks in there, so but they knew. You know what I'm saying? So that tells me it's not the first time. It's not. You know what I mean? Exactly. But he ended up getting kicked out. Like he pushed himself to like be removed from the Marine Corps. Yeah, we talked about MOS school, my brother. Now 2 years, you go back home with all your benefits. Where do you go back to?
First thing I did, I started. The first thing I did, I started a security job. It's just funny. Yeah, I just needed money. I didn't plan on getting out, so I didn't have a plan. You know, so I was when she proposed the idea to me, it was like, okay, all right, I'm doing it. So I didn't have time to prepare for, so I was out. I needed a job.
2 years in the military, you didn't really have any money saved up.
Yeah, I was still young. I didn't know anything about anything, pretty much. I was still naive. So I just went and got a job. The first thing, I didn't even know about unemployment. Yeah. So I started working security, and then this guy, one of my coworkers, he came to me. So he's like, "Hey, I heard you were a Marine." So I'm like, "Yeah, I just got out, blah blah." So he's like, "All right, so." Yeah, so your unemployment ran out, right? So I'm like, unemployment? What are you talking about? He goes, what do you mean? What are you talking? You don't never collect the unemployment? So I'm like, what is that? So he goes, yeah, bro, you supposed to get unemployment. So he's like, yeah, call this number. So he gave me the number. I called him. I'm like, hold up. So they're like, oh, you're gonna get 4 and change. I'm like, okay, I quit then. So you quit the job. I quit the job that same day. Yeah. That night they were called because they were short staffed too. Man, bro, they called me so they were like, "You not coming?" I'm like, "Nah, I can't do it."
Did your unemployment go through?
It's above me now.
That's the Marine Corps answer too.
It's above me now.
That's above me. Like
it's out of my pay grade, though,
yeah, it's above my pay grade. Oh, they'll tell you the old man upstairs, like the colonel. Yeah, we gotta wait on the old man upstairs to sign off on it.
Man, yeah, I quit.
So you quit. You're living at home.
Yeah.
With your father.
Actually, it was not really at home. Like he had a brownstone, so I was living on the 3rd floor. So ever since I had an apartment to myself, Yeah. But it was, yeah.
So you just living now. You obviously working jobs.
Then I started.
After employment run out, what do you do?
I started college. I started going to school, and just working. What else did I do? I worked after security. I worked several jobs after that, but one of the most significant ones I did was I started selling beer. I started working for a beer distributor. I worked at the Gap. Basically, I worked at the Gap. I forget. I did so many things I forget.
Many jobs, bro.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So, and then, one of my longest ones was when I started selling beer for Heineken. That was a cool one. Yeah. And then that company went under. They got bought out. So, probably like a month after that, I started working for the government again with Social Security.
Yeah. But before that, I remember you wanted to go into law enforcement, no? Or am I mistaken?
Yeah, I was actually going into the
state trooper.
And I actually missed the physical. So that was my fault. Didn't do the test, and I never thought about it. Yeah, and then after that, I actually changed my mind about that as far as law enforcement and trying to.
Because a lot of guys I know, obviously a lot of my friends are in law enforcement, whether it's police officer, whether it's correction officer, and obviously Kenny, Kenny Joy.
Yeah,
he's a court officer, so I'm gonna interview him soon. Yeah. So what made you change your mind? Why?
As far as what I seen, I don't feel like people that look like me are getting policed fairly or treated fairly by law enforcement. We all know that. You know?
Don't you think more of us in there will probably help balance that?
It would definitely, that definitely is. But you do have the case also where they're encouraging cops to ticket and arrest people that look like them also. You know, so.
Are you talking about the black officers?
The black officers, yeah. You know, it was a big story about that.
Yeah.
You know?
Actually, I know one of the guys in the movie, the police officer.
Yeah.
He's actually running for city council in New York or something like that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. And obviously, when I was in the Marines, my last couple of months, I got fapped out to the MPs, military police.
I remember.
And that's one of the things I looked into as well. But because of the hours, and I didn't want to be in uniform after that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what, man, you know, I had a job waiting for me to go back overseas kind of thing, so I did contract. That. And you talked on how blacks are treated here in our society. Do you ever feel afraid for yourself as a black person? Do you ever feel like, you know, it can be you one day?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, of course. Like, I came up in the stop and frisk era, so I'm used to getting, hey, come here, where you going? You know, being disrespected and all of that. I'm used to, you know, because back then it was normal for you to get walking on the street, just minding your business, and they come running up on you and searching you for, you know. And that's so I've been dealing with this since I've been here, you know. So
I take it that the Black Lives Matter movement is something that you agree with. You like?
Yeah, definitely.
What does it mean to you? What does Black Lives Matter mean to you?
I feel like it's a shame that we have to remind people. We still have to remind people that, you know, we matter. Like it's when you think about what you're saying, it's sad. Like, you know.
How do you feel about those who say all lives matter?
I mean, I feel like people that say that, like they really know what they're saying. Like, and it makes me look at someone different, because, you know, it's like, I feel like you really know what you're saying, and
you're just masking it.
Exactly. I feel like that's a new way of saying the N-word.
Yeah.
To me.
I think it's just a matter of playing it safe.
To me, because if you notice, a lot of times people would, like, now, like, you see a video and someone is having a random argument and they go, Black lives don't matter, all lives matter. Like, and it's like, what is that? The new N-word? Like, you know, it's like, and it's weird. They're like, you know, they replace it just to let you know where they stand.
The way I take it, I think these people just know they're so good at it. It's just a marketing tool for them, because if you know, in America, one of the things the founding fathers said was all men created equal. But they believe all men created equal, but they want to sell that. They want to tell the rest of the world that, or tell themselves that, because they never looked at us as people. I feel when it comes to Black lives, when they say Black lives matter, I mean all lives matter, because the black life is not included in it. You know what I'm saying? They could care less. So they need to say all lives matter to be
because,
like,
but if it was included in it, that statement wouldn't even bother you. Yeah. Because it was not included.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense. Yeah. You know, that's
what trips me all the time though is those who say all lives matter, and then they turn around and say blue lives matter. I thought you said all lives. Then we don't need to say blue. Like, all of us just say, you know what I'm saying?
Or they say stupid stuff like, what about black on black crime?
Oh, that's my favorite.
Oh my God.
That's my favorite.
Yeah,
and I'm going to say this to the camera. I think that's the most racist thing anybody can say. One of the things they do is just go straight to Chicago and say, look how you guys are treating yourselves. How come Farrakhan or somebody, you know, a black leader is not out there saying anything? To me, that's so racist to know that you live in the United States of America and you're pointing fingers at American citizens to say, hey, look at you guys, instead of, but when it's school shootings, when it's everything else, it's like Americans.
Any other crime is
it's
crime.
Like, yeah, any other crime is like, Americans, we have to come together. School shootings, we need gun control, but blacks shoot blacks. Oh, it's those guys. They're the problem. It's not Americans.
It's not just.
Did we say the same thing when we say, do we say, when we say September 11th, when that happened, we didn't say, Americans bomb Americans and they kill Americans, so therefore it didn't matter. What we said was, okay, we're being attacked. God bless America. Exactly. And that's one of the things that always gets me super, super excited.
And then suppose someone says, you know, all countries matter.
Yeah, you'll
be pissed.
Yeah, I understand black on black violence exists. Same way with white on white. Same way with Asian.
It's violence. It's violence.
Everywhere.
It is what it is. It's proximity. you're gonna beef with people that you live around.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
That's just and when you add
the way they designed this country with redlining, we have no choice but to live around. Yeah. You know, so who else are you gonna have crime against?
And
you know
that's what's crazy to me. Mm-hmm. Like people often say, "Hey, you guys do this. You got well." All people do it. Does that remove the fact that if I do something to you as a black man, I'm expected to go to jail. Yeah. I know that.
Not only that, I'm not doing it to you based on the color of your skin.
Yeah.
It's not when you say violence against black people, that police are committing violence against black people is because of the color of our skin. It's not because of proximity. It's nothing else because he treats you differently than he treats someone else, which it shouldn't be. Yeah. That's all it is. That's all we're asking for is the same treatment.
That's fear. Mm-hmm. And do you remember that black police officer who shot this white woman and he was
he got
like this?
Exactly.
And we didn't scream all lives matter or blue lives matter. Nothing. You do wrong, you just
it just goes to show you that it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's about racism.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not. You're never gonna be able to agree with these people or not because they're, that's what they want to think.
Yeah, and that's not to say personally that obviously we both have friends who are police officers. Not to say,
of course, yeah, I
do too. If you're a police officer, you're this.
No, of course not.
No. The fact that exists in the police force and it shouldn't because it makes a lot of citizens feel uncomfortable. We are afraid. Like
exactly.
There was a time where I would literally know if I'm leaving, and this is I walk a straight line, I don't get in trouble, decent job, homeowner, and do everything that I'm supposed to do. Everything that I'm supposed to do. I know if I'm going from my house to Manhattan, I look at the time and say, it might be dark. I know to not put on jeans. I know to put on pants just to look in a way that they can see like, he's harmless. And one thing I never did, buy a black phone. I never had a black phone in my life.
That's sad.
Never. Always buy a white phone.
That's
because
sad.
Remember, I'm going to do the yacht. And I don't wear a wallet. I don't carry a wallet. Never do. Never do, bro.
Simply
because I don't want anybody to mistake it for, he had a gun. Like, no, I don't.
That is sad.
This is my wallet. Okay? This is like,
and then the worst part is that person will probably get off.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing. They'll kill you and nothing happens.
Get off or don't get off. Like my life, I don't want you to. You know what I'm saying? Like I know if I walk down the street, somebody does something to me, I'm expecting him to be dealt with. That's okay. We live in a society where police officers take an oath to protect society, so to make sure these things don't happen. But what happened when the people who take that oath is the same group that's doing it that I have to protect myself from. You know what I'm saying? And growing up, my younger brother always wanted to be a police officer. That was the thing that we pushed for. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, he ended up doing his thing in the Air Force after college and ended up staying and doing his own stuff still in law enforcement. So that's always been that thing for us. You know what I'm saying? But that fear always exists. Exactly. And I've been like that for a long time.
Exactly.
Brother. A long time.
Exactly. I mean, I'm driving like I said, like you'll be driving and you just make eye contact with them. You see them do a U-turn, pull you over. That happened to me several times for no reason. Just so it's like, when you're getting pulled over, it's like.
It's rough. Yeah. I had I'm telling the story. We spending too much time on this. I had a friend who had a nice car. And he left. He was still in the Marine Corps, so he was going overseas. Yeah. And because he lived in an apartment and I live in a house, he said, "Hey, can I leave my car with you?" I said, "Yeah, sure." But when he left it, the car gets flat. You got to run the battery from time to time. So I would drive his car around, take it to the mechanic just to keep it running because I knew I was getting ready to go overseas, so we were gonna overlap. So by the time I was gonna go back overseas, he was gonna come back to the States, and we were gonna have a gap. So I kept running it. And I remember one time I was going to one of my friends from high school's baby shower. I was coming back from it. And I had on a collar shirt because I knew, again, I was leaving late, collar shirt, slacks, and so on. But his car was tinted windows, white luxury car. Yeah. And it's an out-of-state license plate. So I cracked that in the window just so anybody, you can see it. It's nighttime. I don't need any of it. I don't want you to look through the windshield and see, it's a black person driving it. So I crack it just so I can just go on about my business. And sure enough, cop car coming behind me, And they were coming this way, so I saw they made a U-turn.
Yeah.
I said, all right, cool. So I'm just driving. So now I lower my windows and kept going. First light, second light, I'm going, just waiting. Finally, he turned on his flash. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, cool. So I pulled over. You know the routine. I pulled over to the side. I had to make sure I'm in the light where other people can see me or whatever it was. And he said, you know why I'm pulling you over? I said, no. He said, you were on two lines. I said, well, in order for me to go from one side, I have to go. If it's two lines, two-way drive, and I'm switching lanes, that's totally okay to do. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what it was. But anyway, I just sat there and put my hand on the steering wheel. Now he's talking to me and sees what I'm. Luckily, I did my training as a military police, and I was not a field police, so I was in a patrol car. You know what I'm saying? So I understand what's going on. So then he comes, young guy, comes in, looks like he must have been on the force for maybe a year or two. So he comes in and he says, license and registration. I said, sir, may I ask why you pulling me over? Then he said what he said. I said, well, that's not true, sir. I watched you follow me for 3 blocks and made the U-turn. 3 lights and made the U-turn. So that's not why you pulling me over. He like, for now, he didn't want to talk. Just license and registration. And I make sure I have veterans written on top of my car.
Oh, yeah.
And I have my inactive card at the same time that says Sergeant Pluvios on it, Marine. So I handed it to him. He looked at it. Didn't even go back to his car or anything. He just looked at it. And he said, whose car is this? I said, it's my Marine buddy's car. He's stationed in Okinawa right now. He gave it back to me and said, you know that car to get you out of trouble if you keep your mouth shut. Have a good day. So therefore, I didn't do anything wrong. You were just harassing me. What if I didn't have those cards?
Exactly.
What would you didn't even run it. I could have been a criminal. You didn't even run anything. So you were just harassing me.
Yeah, my like that card got me out of a lot of, whatever, they pulled me over, showed them the card, and I keep it moving, which is, I'm luckily I have that card or whatever, but.
And it's crazy that we blacks have to have that much credential.
Exactly.
Just so I can have a conversation with you. And to be fair, I've had cops who
that
pull me over where I'm in the wrong.
Yeah.
And they just pull me over, and then I pull up. I'll tell you another one. I was in Jersey for my son's birthday. Cop pulled me over. I was in the wrong like hell because we were in a solid yellow line, and I did a U-turn. Big no-no. And he pulled me over, and I'm fumbling to find my license, and we had just got a car wash, so they moved the paperwork and put it on the side, and then I pulled out my ID card. I was trying to look for my license. Gave him he was like, bro, you a Marine? I was like, yeah. And then he said, man, just be careful with that double lining and so on. Yeah. And I said, were you in the service? And he was like, no, that's fine, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't be mad if he gave me a ticket. He was doing his job. I was in the room. Even with my ID card, if he gave me a ticket, I wouldn't complain about it. You're doing your job. And he was very, very, very respectful. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm in the car with balloons and all types of stuff. He didn't even treat me like a criminal. He treated me like I feel like he would have treated any and everybody else. And at the time, I didn't have on a collar shirt. Yeah. And this is a white dude, and I have on a hat, Scully, and a T-shirt because I was setting things up for my son's birthday party. So it's not all of them. It's not every, but every black person I feel need to have the extra credential just so we don't face these things. You know what I'm saying?
That's sad that we do need something to say. I'm not one of the
I'm one of the good black guys.
One of the good ones,
you know what I'm saying?
Man, that's sad.
We talked about that a lot, but I got to ask you one more question, and then we'll move on to where you are today in life. How do you feel about Colin Kaepernick? Because as veterans, they often
use him as, he's disrespecting the veterans? No, he's not disrespecting the veterans. He's standing up for black people. We have black veterans also that,
that's one thing the news does too. Remember, he's talked about that. He said, I've seen people of color who serve the country and get harassed and mistreated and so on.
Exactly.
The news doesn't talk about that. They removed it.
You seen the Five Bloods? Have you ever seen? Yeah, check that out. Do you remember the part in the movie where they killed, Martin Luther King?
Yeah.
And the North Korea, the Vietnamese, sorry, apologize. The Vietnamese reporter. And she said, these guys are, you're gonna fight for people, black Americans. You're fighting for people. My Negro is
psychological warfare.
Yeah, exactly.
So I saw
she said, you're fighting for a country that doesn't care about you. And look what they did to you, and that resonated with them. You know, and it resonated with us also. When you come back home, you take that uniform off, and
you know, back to a regular Negro.
Exactly,
brother.
until you're able to show that card to say, you know, leave me alone.
You're just a regular Negro.
So that was a very powerful part in that movie, man. Like, you know, like what do you
back on Kaepernick?
Yeah. So I don't feel like he did anything wrong. I feel like it was warranted. I feel like they did silence him.
Colin Kaepernick. Yeah. Obviously, he was.
Not silent. They didn't silence him. Sorry,
yeah,
they blackballed him, but they didn't silence. They made him bigger than it was. He's actually bigger than football now.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not about football anymore.
So they blackballed Colin Kaepernick where he couldn't get on the team to play. They came up with so different excuses, and now the NFL is saying that they messed up because they should have listened to their players. Even though they didn't say Colin Kaepernick, we know who was the head of that movement. They didn't. Now the NFL is screaming Black Lives Matter because now they want to protest. Do you feel it's a marketing tool, or do you think they actually care?
I think it's definitely a marketing tool. Yeah. But at the end of the day, hey, we'd be mad if we were mad when they didn't do it. Yeah. So you know,
one thing,
once they start doing, you can't
stop them.
You can't say, oh, it's just a marketing tool. You just have to. It is what it is. You know. Yeah. At least we brought awareness to it.
Yeah.
You know. So.
And one thing that I wish the NFL did was apologize to Colin Kaepernick, because they should have listened to him. They should have given him an ear. They shouldn't have said that. I don't know if the NFL said it, but they didn't not stop people saying that Colin Kaepernick was disrespecting the troops. He was disrespecting the flag. First, I thought it was constitutional because he was exercising his constitutional rights. And also, when they say he's disrespecting troops, what troops are we talking about? Exactly. Are you just referring to non-black troops? Because for us, the same thing Colin Kaepernick is protesting, we face. Mm-hmm. In fact, we love that Colin Kaepernick stands up for us, and even when the military didn't.
Exactly.
We wish the military would come up and say, hey, Black Lives Matter, because we have black veterans and black troops who deal with these issues. Yeah. We wish he did that. So as a black veteran, I stand behind Colin Kaepernick 100%.
I definitely do.
And I stand behind everybody who's with him. Enough with things that get us a little bit too high. Let's talk about your job now. What are you doing in life? College.
Oh yeah.
You got your degree?
Master's. Got my bachelor's. Business administration. Master's in project management.
There you go.
Yeah, I used GI Bill and Voc Rehab. Took advantage of those, and definitely it helped me out a lot as far as so opened up a lot of doors for me. It definitely did, and I wasn't even in there that long. Yeah. So I definitely don't regret my decision. It taught me a lot. Met a lot of great people. You my brother, you know what I'm saying? It's like people that I know is gonna be there, because we all went through something. It was we all were in the place. No one goes to the Marine Corps because they want to. And, there's some hard chargers.
Yeah, I mean, even then, I get something behind.
Exactly. Yeah. There's always a story. Everyone has a story, and I felt like we got closer.
And that's exactly why I created this, because I know, because I've met so many people over the years, and I was lucky enough to not only travel all over the states, but all over the world.
Exactly.
Not only with the military, but after I got out, I was able to be in a position where I can afford to travel and meet people and so on. So I feel like we all definitely have our own unique stories.
Exactly.
So I figured I'll bring it to the forefront and
it's
sit
definitely
down
great
and talk about it. My brother, man, I really appreciate you coming by.
Definitely, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man. Anything you want to say?
No, that was it, man. Yeah. Great. It was great.
And we've been friends since 2003, because that's when we went to MOS school.
Yeah, MOS school, December 2002, actually.
Yeah.
December 2002, yeah.
And it's been, almost 18 years now.
Wow.
And we've always been in touch, like no matter where I am in the world.
Yeah. I remember when you first left to Okie, man. I felt like I lost my right hand, man. That was a sad day, man.
It was a sad day for me too.
That was a sad day.
In MOS school, we was together every day. And then it's like, I gotta go to my duty station.
I'm like,
you gotta be left behind. You gotta start all over.
I'm like, that was crazy.
I can't think of a year or a time where we didn't even talk much. Even when I was overseas, we always You became closer with my brother.
Exactly.
I became closer with your brother. Got to know your kids. You know your kid. You know my kid. And years, man. And I credit the Marine Corps.
Yeah, of course, yeah, man, definitely. Like I don't regret a single thing about it, man.
We're both in New York. Didn't meet in New York. Had to meet in South Carolina to develop a friendship that's almost 20 years old now.
Hey. It's dope, man.
My brother, thank you for coming, man.
I appreciate you, brother.
As you know, this is Vet Talk with Hill, a show we created to sit down with military veterans to talk about everything that's going on. As you just saw, we talked about my friend Phillips. You see, I still say Phillip because that's his last name. We still go by last names. Yeah. It's a show where we sit down and talk about life before the military, during the military, and after the military. Also, we cover every topic, so you can find us on Instagram under Vet Talk with Hill, and you can also look up our videos on YouTube under Vet Talk with Hill. And if you have any questions, comments, or anything you want to say, just write it below, and I'll try to cover as much about it as possible. And if there's any question you feel like you want to ask a veteran, I'll be more than happy to answer it. If I can't answer it myself, I'll be sure to bring in a veteran who can sit down and talk to us about it. Again, thank you so much for watching. My good friend Phillips Dayton, man. Dayton Phillips. I say it backwards.
Yeah, it's fine.